Welcome to Science Lab. The signs are happening because Lord Jesus Christ is coming soon. Every day we are looking at some of the signs that are happening in and around us. In this episode, we are going to see the signs in Israel.
New archaeological discovery in Jerusalem adds to evidence of great biblical king's reign. King Josiah proved again. He was king when the kingdom of Judah experienced its last gasp of freedom. His demise was the death knell of the kingdom.
Now, archaeological discoveries in and around Jerusalem are breathing life into the epic reign of King Josiah. The most recent evidence proving Josiah's reign on the biblical record is a seal impression bearing the name of Nathan Melech.
Dr. Ithashel, co-director of Jerusalem excavation, that uncovered the artifact in early April 2019. He said, "It's a relatively rare name. It's the first time that it was found on any document outside the Bible. In the Bible itself, it's mentioned only once." That record is found in 2 Kings chapter 23 verse 11. Then he removed the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun at the entrance to the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathan Melech, the officer who was in the court, and he burned the chariots of the sun with fire. Normally, archaeologists find clay seal impressions only after putting excavated earth into a sieve, spraying it with water, and closely inspecting the contents that remain. Surprisingly, the seal of Nathan Melech, which measures just over 1 centimeter in diameter, was discovered in the archaeological field. A worker discovered the bulla while excavating through a destruction layer of a public building constructed in the 8th century BC and destroyed during the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem in 585 BC. Shalev and co-director Yuval Gedot from Tel Aviv University were able to immediately read the ancient Hebrew inscription and recognize its significance. The bulla record both Nathan Melech's name and his title, Servant of the King. Shalev explains that this means this person was a high official in the court. This title equates to the officer who was in the court, mentioned in 2 Kings chapter 23 verse 11. Shalev said, "We got a name which is relatively rare, appears on the bulla and in the Bible. The date of the bulla, according to epigraphy, the shape of the letters, is the second half of the 7th century, early 6th century, which is exactly the time that this person, the biblical Nathan Melech, was active here in Jerusalem, and the date of the context, the structure itself, is also to the second half of the 7th century, early 6th century.
Shalev said that all the necessary elements are present to confirm it is likely that this seal impression belonged to man mentioned in the Bible. The discovery of Nathan Melech bulla adds one more archaeological confirmation of the biblical account of King Josiah's reign. The start of Josiah's reign in 640 BC was a difficult time. 80 years prior, the Assyrian Empire had conquered and taken captive the kingdom of Israel, just to the north of the kingdom of Judah. At about the same time, Josiah's grandfather, King Manasseh, had subjected Judah to the Assyrians. The biblical record of Manasseh's defense to Assyria is confirmed by a clay prism of the Assyrian king Esarhaddon. The Bible describes Manasseh's reign as a time of rampant idolatry and pagan worship, which continued into the reign of Josiah's father Ammon. After just 2 years, the people of Judah replaced Ammon with his 8-year-old son Josiah. At this time, the Assyrian Empire was waning and the Babylonian Empire was rising. During this time of upheaval, Josiah enacted one of the most true religious revivals in Judah's history. The book of Chronicles describes how during the 12th year of his reign, Josiah continued to purge
paganism even beyond Judah's northern border, entering the territory of the former kingdom of Israel and destroying centers of pagan worship. And so he did in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, and Simeon, as far as the Naphtali and all around, with excess. When he had broken down the altars and the wooden images, had beaten the carved images into powder, and cut down all the incense altars throughout all the land of Israel, he returned to Jerusalem. 2 Chronicles chapter 34, verse 67.
Amid this revival, Josiah expanded Judah's territory north and west. Archaeology supplies evidence of this expansion.
In 1960, a fortress from the time of Josiah was uncovered on the Mediterranean coast, just south of Tel Aviv. Most archaeologists acknowledge that the site is Judean. Hebrew inscriptions and Judean material found at the site are proof that it was a part of King Josiah's expansion of the kingdom. The inscription, found on a discarded piece of pottery, confirms not only that Josiah took over this territory, but also that he enforced the biblical Sabbath command. The inscription also refers to the biblical law that outlaws keeping a person's clothing as collateral past sundown. Exodus chapter 22, verse 26 and 27.
In the 18th year of his reign, King Josiah turned his attention to restoring the temple of Jerusalem. While cleaning the temple, the high priest discovered an ancient manuscript of the book of the law.
The Bible records that Shaphan the scribe took the manuscript of King Josiah. One generation later, Shaphan's son Gemariah continued in the family occupation of serving as a royal scribe. In the 1980s, in a city of David excavation just 100 meters from where the Nathan Melech Bulla was found, Eagle Shiloh found a stash of over 50 preserved clay seal stamps. One bulla bore the inscription belonging to Gemariah, son of Shaphan. This man was a scribe mentioned together with his father in Jeremiah 36. Like Nathan Melech, the bulla lay in the ash and debris dating to the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem, 586 and 585 BC, which helped match the bulla to the biblical figure. This was the first bulla found in the city of David that can be conclusively attributed to an individual in the Bible. The same year that Shaphan the scribe read the book of the law to King Josiah, the king restored to its rightful use an area in the temple precinct that had been used to shelter chariots and horses used in sun worship. The Bible records this as the entrance to the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathan Melech. Evidence of this aspect of Josiah's religious revival is found in the Ketef Hinnom scrolls. In 1979, during archaeological excavations on the edge of the valley of Hinnom, not far outside ancient Jerusalem's walls, a large treasure cache was found in a burial tomb by the team of Professor Gabriel Barkay. The cache included two tiny scrolls made of 99% pure silver. They were painstakingly opened in a laboratory and measured about 4 inches by 1 inch when unrolled. The inscriptions feature portions of scripture. One of the amulets reads, "May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine." Numbers chapter 6 verse 24 and 25 read, "Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face to shine upon thee." Jewish Publication Society. By studying these artifacts around them, scientists have dated the scrolls to the late 7th to early 6th century, somewhere between 650 BC and 585 BC. Bible critics say this is improbable, as the Bible supposedly wasn't finished and distributed until the 2nd and 3rd century. But technological advances in recent years have made it possible to confirm the scrolls' creation more specifically to the 7th century. New high-definition photographs were examined by 4 scholars of 4 different institutions who concluded that the new techniques enabled them to reaffirm with confidence that the late pre-exilic period is the proper chronological context for the artifacts. Thus, they predate the earliest of the Dead Sea Scrolls by 400 years, making them the oldest biblical texts ever found.
Clay seals, clay prism, seaside fortress, and silver scrolls. All the archaeological discoveries confirming the accuracy of Bible history from more than 2600 years ago. These discoveries from King Josiah's time prove the Bible is not a collection of man-made fairy tales concocted by Jewish scribes writing hundreds of years after the fact. Rather, it is an accurate account of history, continuing to be proven by the ongoing stream of archaeological discoveries.
And now it's the time for the trivial question of the day. Who is Sebastian Kurz?
Option A, Prime Minister of Israel. Option B, Chancellor of Austria. Option C, former Chancellor of Austria.
The answer will be given after a short break.